Welcome to the Art Lady channel. Today we're doing a bunny in a meadow, and this comes out adorable with children ages 5 through 12. There's his tall ears right there. You can draw this with us if you'd like, or you can finish the whole lesson. Toward the end it'll show you how we ended up coloring this in with some crayons, adding some texture in the fur, and then we use watercolors to paint on top for a resist. And then we use some of these oil pastels to add our flowers on top for our last layer. So I hope you enjoy the lesson and let me know in the comments how you did. The first step is to hold our paper the long way, which is vertically in front of us. So we want the longest side to be on our edges and then the shortest sides to be closer to our body. And we're going to start off in the middle. So if we find the very, very middle of our page right here, and then we jump over just a little bit, because I don't want this rabbit to be in the very, very perfect center. I want him to be slightly to the right. So I'm going to jump over. Here's my middle right here. I'm just going to jump over just a couple finger spaces. And this is 12 by 24 paper that we're using today. And I'm going to put a straight line, a horizontal line. It's a small horizontal line, as wide as a finger. So when you place your finger, your index finger down on top of the line, you can still see the line on both sides. Right there. I'll focus it up a little bit. Okay, now I'm going to remove this. And I'm going to make this a triangle now. I'm just going to go down and up like the letter V. So I'm going to start here, go down, and then back up to form a letter V. From that, I'm going to place a short number 1. And then I'm going to do a slight diagonal line down and a slight diagonal line down on the other side. Now from this area, I'm at the triangle now, I'm going to go up, around, and back to, this is the mouth area, so we'll call that the mouth, back to the mouth area. And I'm going to do the same on the other side. I go diagonally up, same distance up on this side, and then I'm going to come around. If you want to measure, kind of estimate on this side how wide you did and put a guideline. That'll help you when you make your curve come down and around. So it's similar on both sides. It doesn't have to be exactly the same. As you see, mine is not exactly the same. Now I'm going to come up about 4 fingers. So if you come to this horizontal line of the nose, place your hand and measure up 4 fingers and put a mark. Just a mark. I'm going to come across now horizontally. And I'm just going to bring this area down on both sides. Down. And it meets the middle. This is like the cheeks, we'll call it. So it meets the middle of the cheeks. Close to this area now, I'm going to skip a little bit from the top, jump down, and I'm going to do a circle on each side. A circle on each side. Now, however you want to design these eyes, you can design them later on. I'm going to put a pupil in right now though, give them a little round pupil. And then you can make it realistic, you can make it more of abstract or cartoon, put eyelashes, whatnot, but do that after on your own time. I'm going to come up now. This is horizontal, so I'm going to come up just a little bit and do a horizontal line. And then I'm going to give the boundaries of its head. I'm going to come very close to the bottom, very close to the cheek areas, and very close to the eye areas. So watch how I make half the line first. I'm going to curve around very close to the eye area. I'm slightly tapering out past the cheeks. I'm coming around here, and I'm going to stop here. So I've come very close to the facial features. And then I'll do the same on the other side. You want to go pretty slow to make sure you match the same distance, because I want to make sure that this is the same as this. Coming down, I'm going to try and keep it the same distance, and then come around slowly to meet. If you make a mistake, don't worry, just redraw your line on top, and when you paint it in, add your background, we'll be able to hide it. You can even transform it into something. Say if you make a line that's a mistake up here, you can always put a little bumblebee, because this is going to be a rabbit in the spring meadow we're making today. So you can add some bees or butterflies, whatever you want to add to it later, and that always covers up any mistake. So we always just continue our mistakes. Now we want some nice tall ears coming on up. And if you want to bend your ear, that's up to you. I'm going to just have it start off, and you want to have it start, let's do it right on each side. Diagonally on this side, and then diagonally on this side. And I want to come close to the top of my page. I'm going to scoochie my page down here so you can see it, right up in here. And I'm going to have these taper, so this one's going to come out and curve. So I've come from this line, I've started drawing toward the top of my page, and I slightly curved. I want this to kind of be cigar shape. I want the ends to be thinner than the middle. So I'm coming off. There's as wide as I want my ears to be. I want them to be thicker in the middle and then taper. So I'm going to curve this skinny, thicker, and curve it to it. It's almost kind of eye shape even. And I'm going to do the same on this side. My ear's going to come out. I'm going to bring it right to the corner. Now I'm going to do the same. I'm going to round, start tapering out, and then bring it back in. Now, if you want it to bend, I'll show you on this paper. Here's your head here. The ear would come out. You would go up and bend it down. Then it would come out, put a little line, and then bend it to it. This is the fold of the ear. So just a slight bend. We can add a little bit of a line on the inside here. And now we're going to add the body. I'm going to take, this is going to be in a field of flowers. We're going to do a lot of beautiful painting techniques and some crayon and maybe crayon resist. So most of the body's going to be hidden down at the bottom, but we're just going to come out, tapering out diagonally, and then just come on down to the edge of your page. If you want to do a little fluffy tail, most of this will be hidden anyways, like I said, with our fields of flowers. And that is basically how to draw your rabbit. And then of course we're going to do beautiful flowers, the fields in here. If you'd like to finish it the way my class is going to finish it today, you can follow along. I'm going to have my students leave this white here and the two cheeks white. And we're going to choose a color. Now, as an artist, you can choose any color you want for your rabbit. You don't have to have it a natural color rabbit. So you can work up, you know, blue would be great. You can do values of pink, values of brown. Black and blue look great together. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use some blue undertones, and then I'll use some black watercolor on top to create a black bunny with some blue highlights. And I'm going to use some light, medium, and dark blue crayon colors here. And I'm going to add some fur to this. And I'm going to push pretty hard with my crayons. And I'm just giving some lines that will illustrate fur. And I'm getting pretty small on the face. So fur lines on the face. And then I will cover this with some black watercolor paint. And you can mix the colors like this. And I'm also going to do, so I'm going to work up my fur with short lines. And then I'm also going to work up the background with short grass lines. Toward the bottom of the page, the lines are going to be longer. And when I do my grass lines, you want to have the grass lines curving to the left, to the right, and I kind of just flick them, and then overlapping each other, like this, pressing pretty hard. And as you go up, the grass lines are going to get smaller as we reach the tops of the page, okay? And I'm going to continue that. And for the grasses, I'm going to be using, this is a yellow green, I believe, grass green it's actually called. And I'm going to be using some yellow green or lime and some yellow. I'm going to save all the dark colors for the actual paint that we'll be painting. So that's how I'm going to work up this, and I'll show you what it looks like, and I'll show you what my students' pictures look like as they're working right now. Here's a few 6- and 7-year-old students' examples from my class. And you can see in this one coming up how we have a lot of fur texture. And that's what you want to try and achieve. And same thing with the grass in the back. This is what it looks like when we're pretty much almost done. But I wanted to share with you what my students and I did. And it was really actually pretty fun. What we did was we have these big thick crayons here. And we basically just kind of pressed really hard and kind of whacked it. Whacked it to the left. And then whacked it to the right. Or I'm sorry, this is to the right. And then we whacked it to the left. And we actually switched hands. And you can hear how it makes a small tapping. And then just tap smaller as you get to the top. It makes this little tapping sound, which is fine. But by switching hands, it helps because our fingers were pretty sore after a while. So we switched hands and we had a pretty good time as we made these short lines. And it gives this almost C shape or curve shape as you whack it. So if you make small whacks, real small whacks in the body, by doing it kind of fast and hard like this, it gives it a curve, which makes it more natural. Because all that straight lines don't look as good as the curves. So have fun adding texture to your background, and then we'll be on the paint part. We did color in this with some white. You really can't see it. You want to push real hard with that white and color in this area. So when we resist this, it'll show up nice. Our next step is to apply a watercolor wash to our bunny. And I'm just adding black to this. I've started it already. And I just put it right on top, and I'm going to paint nice and evened coverage right on top. And I like to go ahead and get my outer edges done first, and then I can do long, broad strokes. And I trace around my edge to get the edges nice and neat, and then I go back and forth and fill in. You don't have to go over this over and over. Just a few areas to get all the spots. You don't want to keep on scrubbing. The more you scrub, you're going to be pulling off that wax. So you trace your edges, and you don't want to leave puddles behind. You can see how it just pops off right away and resists. And there's the bunny. Now I'm going to go ahead and work up the grass area. Now I'm working up some yellow and yellow-green liquid watercolors, and the farther the grass is, the lighter it is. So in the background, I'm putting in a little bit more of the yellow and yellow-green color here. And then toward the bottom, I'm going to get to some darker greens. So I want to mix up in the background some yellow-green color. And then closer at the bottom, I'm going to be putting in some blue and blue-green colors. So the farther the grass is, the lighter it is. So a lot of the yellow toward the background, in the background here. And then the closer it gets to the bottom of the page, it's going to get darker. Some more blue-greens at the bottom. So now I'm going to put my greens in the middle. So I did a lot of yellow and yellow-green at the top. I'm trying to get all the spots. And so I have green in the middle. And at the very bottom, I'm going to be doing some blue-green. And I'll show you that when I get to that. Now I'm applying some blue-green down at the very bottom here to show that the grass is closer to me. Just darker color closer. You want to make sure you get all the spots right up in here, and you want to make sure that there is no puddles. So I'm spreading out my paint and not wasting any of the paint. Any puddles, I'm blending in nicely. There. To finish our bunny in the meadow, we're going to go ahead and add some flowers. And if we add flowers with a dark center, it's going to show up better. Because when we're using these lighter values, it's not going to show up over our background. So I'm choosing some like marigold type flowers or black-eyed Susan type flowers, or like a mum or a daisy. So I'm starting off by making some ovals. And I want to vary where I'm placing them. I don't want them all in a straight row, different heights. And I'll put one down lower here. Just a little oval and press hard. And then I'm going to use some orange values, and I'm just going to come out and back, just kind of coloring little patches. And then in the one on each side, and then in the centers, they get a little bit shorter. And then sometimes, depending on the view of the daisy or whatever flower you're making, you don't see all the petals. So I'll do one down here where the petals are foreshortened, so we do see some. So I'm only making very short lines coming out back and forth. And then the longer on the sides, and then this is shorter here because of the view. Then you can add your stem using some values of green, and you don't want it a straight line. It's either a curve to the left or the right. And then if you want to put some little bits of leaves in coming up, you can. And then I'm going to just put a few little lines, darker lines down at the bottom here. Now, as we go to the middle of our page, we're going to use lighter values green. So I won't see much of the stems. Let's get some of the smaller, and my flowers are going to be smaller too. So I'm going to come out with some petals and then shorter in here. And then, of course, as we get in the background, back here, our flowers are going to be very small, and the colors just kind of blend together here, like that. And we won't see any of the stem details. Just in the foreground, you see the stem and leaf details. You could just put little bits of little lines coming in through here, like that. You won't see much. And then this would be, of course, filled up. You would do many in here because it's in a meadow, a wildflower meadow where there is lots of them. And then in the very back here, they're just small little dashes of color. And if you want to use some lighter values like this is what's going to happen as it gets back here. It's going to be just lighter. And just take your light color and kind of blend it right on top of the bright so that it will show. They get real small back here, and you can do it closer together. And that's how we're going to finish off our picture. And when that's all done, I'm going to show you. So we start big, medium, and then very small to the top. And you can see how the color is gradually getting lighter as well. And here is the finished picture with some very quick flowers, black-eyed Susans or marigolds, daisies, you could call them daisies, whatever you want. But you see how it's going from smaller in the background, medium, and then larger and more detailed down the front. So I hope you enjoy the lesson of Bunny in the Meadow. Here are some examples from 8-year-old students. These children were in 3rd grade. This one has a Black, they painted their bunny black as mine. And this example is using like a light brown or copper color. And this student chose to use blue over their bunny, and they had some black fur. And this one's another copper example. And let me know in the comments how yours came out. And if you have not already subscribed, I would love to have you as one of my subscribers.